A Halloween festival turned into a tragedy in South Korean capital Seoul on Saturday night. At least 153 people, mostly teenagers and young adults in their 20s, were crushed to death in a stampede. South Korea's fire department says 19 foreigners are among those who have been killed. A further 65 people were injured in the Seoul's Itaewon district, which is located close to a former U.S. military base and is famous for its bars and clubs. The tragic accident happened when a huge crowd celebrating Halloween surged into a lane in a nightlife area of the South Korean capital of Seoul. Images from the scene narrate the horror which unfolded later, with scores of bodies spread on the pavement, covered by bed sheets. The emergency workers, dressed in orange vests, loading even more bodies onto stretchers into ambulances.
(2022년 10월 29일) 토요일 22시 22분경에 발생하였습니다. 장소는 용산구 이태원동 119-7번지 일대에서 발생했습니다. 지금 원인은 조사 중에 있습니다. 기후는 할로윈 행사 축제 중 다수의 인파가 넘어지면서 참석 시민 다수의 사상자가 발생한 사고입니다. 공릉 4시 기준 피해 상황을 보고드리겠습니다. 인명피해는 사망 146명, 부상 150명 포함해서 296명으로 늘어났습니다.
It was the first Halloween event in Seoul in 3 years after the country lifted the COVID-19 restrictions and social distancing. Many of the partygoers were wearing masks and Halloween costumes. The witnesses described the chaotic scenes moments before the stampede, with the police on hand in anticipation of the Halloween event at times having trouble maintaining control of the crowds. Some witnesses described the crowd becoming increasingly unruly and agitated as the evening deepened. The incident took place at about 10:20 p.m. local time.
저희가 이제 10시쯤에 왔는데 저기 호텔 앞에서 이제 막 영화에서 봤던 장면들이 막 전쟁 났을 때 통제하는 거 있잖아요. 그런 게 실제로 벌어진 거예요. 그래서 막 사방에서 심폐소생술을 하고 있고 이제 그게 다 통제가 안 되니까 사람들은 밀려 들어오고 그래서 아예 통제가 안 되는 상황이었어요.
친구가 이제 밖에 지금 큰일 났다. 왜 그러냐? 그러니까 사람이 죽었다. 뭔 소리냐? 그래서 나와서 보라고 해서 나가서 봤더니 다 사람들이 심폐소생술을 하고 있고.
It was very sad to see, like something that we never ever expected. Like never saw this kind of situation happen in Korea before, especially Itaewon. Like even like I have been many Halloween in Korea, even though always crowded, but nothing like this ever happened before. So I'm very like it got me like very surprised, like very sad this happened. It's something that we never forget.
혹시 이번 사태에 대해서는 경찰들이 좀 더 준비가 부족하고 이제 약간 사람들이 이제 약간 너무 많이 붐비다 보니까 이제 경찰분들이나 보급대원들 고생하시는 건 알지만 좀 준비가 부족한 것 같아요.
Hundreds of ambulances lined up in front of the Suncheongyang University Hospital, where a large number of the victims were taken. The South Korean police say that more than 100,000 people gathered around the Itaewon district for the annual Halloween festivities at the time of the accident. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol has arrived at the scene of the crash during Seoul's Halloween celebrations, vowing to thoroughly investigate the incident. Yoon said that he would ensure such a disaster could never happen again. Yoon Suk-yeol also declared a period of national mourning. The death toll makes it one of the biggest disasters in South Korea, and it is likely to raise serious questions about public safety standards. The number of dead could rise further, as unspecified number among the injured were in critical condition. Now, for more on this, we are being joined by Dr. Graham Ong-Webb, who is a Executive Director of Hive Intelligence and the Adjunct Fellow S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies. Thank you for being with us. Now, this is one of the biggest disasters in South Korea to have happened. What are the latest details that we know?
Well, first of all, our hearts go out to the people of South Korea, the people of Seoul, family members and friends, and anyone in that good country who know of the people who have passed on in a very tragic way, and for those who've been hurt physically and emotionally from this calamity. What I want to say is that this is extremely tragic, it's extremely macabre. One could argue it could have been avoided, but I think there are multiple factors to take into account as to why it did happen. We don't know very much. Whatever we know has been reported through the global media, but I think what we can appreciate is that this sort of calamity ought to be avoided now that we know that it can happen and it has happened. And the challenge now and the awareness really is for societies around the world that are having very similar mass events to take the precautionary measures to avoid something similar from happening again. And I think it's a lot of food for thought. And I think the governments of the day that are now allowing such events to happen as we enter the new normal of a post-pandemic world in many parts of the world, to just be very cautious and to manage these events as best as they can in order to avoid something similar from happening.
Right. Doctor, South Koreans are in shock as this is in no way expected in a country like South Korea, which usually has good management of big events. Was perhaps just the sheer number of people unexpected? Do we have any idea yet as to what led to the agitation in the crowd before the stampede?
No, we do not. So I think your guess is as good as mine as to what instigated, what sparked off, a chain of events that, rapidly led to a stampede forming up and leading to the death toll that we know of and the number of casualties that have been reported. I think forensically, it will come to light as to what triggered this tragedy to unfold. But I think what we ought to take stock is that this can happen in any good city in the world. So I think the South Korean authorities probably have done their utmost to manage this Halloween event. And despite their best efforts, they have fallen short. And I know the public is angry and are up in arms and have raised the point that the authorities could have done better. But I think in retrospect, it's rather, although we empathize with where this pain is coming from, that it's easy to point fingers at the authorities. But I think that there is clearly a way from how we understand the nature of such mass events to put in the necessary measures in terms of human processes and even technologies as well to mitigate the risk of such an event, of such a calamity from occurring in the first place. So I think going forward, there is a serious need by all of us as we move into the post-pandemic period, as we come out into the open to celebrate a whole range of festivals and other events that are important in our respective countries, to put the necessary measures and capabilities in place to ensure that such an event doesn't occur. And I'm happy to talk about what some of these measures could be.
Absolutely. Doctor, thank you very much for being with us on this broadcast, bringing us all the latest on that tragic story there.
We are now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.